What's up, you guys? Welcome back to my channel. Today I am back with another video testing on a new palette. Today we are going to play with the Tarte Icy Betch palette. Now, for those of you who don't know, I'm sure most of you do, this was a palette that Tarte released a picture on their Instagram and on Twitter last year of a photoshopped palette that was all bright blue shades. They called it Icy Betch, and it turned out to be an April Fool's joke. But the real joke turned out to be that everybody really wanted that. Like, everybody who was looking for some color from Tarte. Pretty much exactly 1 year later, a couple days off, Tarte released the Icy Betch palette for real. This time it wasn't a joke. However, it's not exactly the one that they made as a joke palette. The one that they posted originally, I'll post a picture of it up here, looked like one of their Tartelette palettes, which is a larger palette, and it's kind of like an existing line of palettes already. This is kind of a smaller version of it, and there's a highlight included, which was not part of the original one. But to be honest with you, I still thought it was exciting. And I thought it was cool and interesting to see a brand, first of all, step outside their comfort zone, because Tarte doesn't really do color like this. And also just kind of literally listening to the consumers, I thought that was fun to see, and I wanted to give it a try. That being said, I had every intention of doing multiple looks for this video because I love doing multiple looks videos for you guys. I feel like it brings more value to you as a viewer, because if you don't love one look, then there are two more for you to choose from. And also, on top of that, it gives me a chance to go through more of the product and get a better idea of how it works and give like a more thorough review at the end. This time, that didn't work out, and you'll see why during the video, but I did get to use every single color in this palette at one point or another, and I used the highlight today, so you will get to see every color in this palette in action during this video. The multiple looks thing is it's just not gonna happen. However, I really do like this look that we did get today, so hopefully if you already have this palette, you find that to be helpful and something that maybe you want to recreate. I don't know. I hope this is still helpful. Before we get into it, please don't forget to leave a like on this video if you don't mind taking a second to do it, because it really helps me tremendously and I really appreciate it. And also, if you are new here and maybe you've been like lurking around for a video or two and you're like, maybe, and you just haven't really just pulled the trigger and hit that subscribe button yet, I would love to encourage you to do so, because we'll have fun. And I usually do so many looks. It's a good old time. Usually there's laughs and gaffs and goofs and coffee. It would make my week to have you around for more videos. We've got a lot of work ahead of us. There's a lot of struggle. There's a lot of trial and error. There are ups and downs and highs and lows and just a roller coaster of emotions. So let's just jump in and get started on this eye look using the new Tarte Icy Betch palette. So this is my first time really even looking in depth. I opened it very quickly the other day and just wanted to see which of the shades were actually matte in person and which ones were shimmers, because I felt like the swatches online made some of them look like they could have gone either way. One I was really curious about was this shade down here. It's called Vivian, and as it turns out, that is a matte, which I'm very glad for because I feel like that will help ground a lot of the looks. And I'm just now noticing that this eyeshadow is for some reason missing a chunk out of the corner. I have the worst luck with getting damaged products lately. This is like the 5th thing that I've gotten that's like slightly damaged when I got it. So for this look, I kind of want to do something a little bit on the softer side, very like open, very spring-like, and maybe with like a bright waterline. And I'm gonna pair that with a very dark lip. That's the vibe that I'm feeling. Hopefully it pans out. I guess we'll go on this journey together and find out whether that's the case or not. Also, I just wanted to say that I used oat milk creamer in my coffee today for the first time, and wow, it is so delicious. I had no idea how delicious oat milk was. So a little coffee tip for you there. Ooh, it's so good. God, it's so good. I'm just gonna clip most of my hair out of the way and we'll just dive right into this palette. So to start like sort of as a transition, but I don't really even think this counts as a transition shade, I'm gonna go into this powder blue shade here called Heather, picking that up on a MAC 217 brush, and I'm just going to put that above my crease area. So far that has nice pigmentation and blendability, but I'm definitely getting more of a gray tone once it's applied to the eye rather than the pale blue that it looks like in the pan. Like once this mixes with my base a little bit, it seems to read as like a blue-gray rather than like a cotton blue shade. It almost looks like the color of my nails, actually. I'm gonna start building this up actually and bring it up pretty high because I wanna do like a blown out, very round, soft look. And it usually makes it look better when I do that if I bring the lightest color like almost up to my eyebrow. Like not quite, but you know, like damn close to my brow. Next, on a flat brush, I'm gonna take a bit of the shade Georgina, nice teal shade, and I'm gonna pack that from my lash line up to my crease. That one is definitely super pigmented and definitely very vibrant. It does not lose its vibrancy on the lid like that lighter shade did at all. That is definitely bold. This is a bit patchy. I'm gonna zoom you guys in so you can see a little more closely, even though I don't really think you need to. I think that you could probably see it from there, but why not? Let's just get up close and personal. It's very, very patchy. I'm gonna try to work on this as much as I can and see if we can make it work. Okay, working on it for a little while, I was able to get this side mostly even to a point where I feel like I could work with the rest of this look and just be like, okay, cool, we can do other things with it, we can make it work. However, I did exactly the same thing on the other side, which is, this is usually my easier eye as far as blending is concerned, but it's like my ugly eye as far as my face is concerned, if that makes sense for you guys. It won't stop doing that. It's dark around the edge and then patchy through the center. And no matter how many, I've taken this off twice already and redone it, and it just keeps doing the same thing over and over again. I don't know why. So I'm going to go ahead and take off this whole eye look. This was originally going to be a 2 or 3 looks video, but I feel like at this point I may just end up doing my best to get like 1 look out with it and then just making this like a straight up review, because so far this ain't it. So I'm gonna go wipe this off, reprime my eyes, and we're gonna start again using different shades and see how they perform. Okay, so I'm gonna start a new look. I don't really even know where I'm gonna begin right now, if I'm being honest, but I also just noticed something that I also don't love about this palette, and to be entirely fair, I should have noticed this just by looking at it, but I did not. This color here, which is called Blair, and this color here, which is called Aria, are nearly identical, except for Blair has a little bit more shimmer in it. So I don't really know why does it have to take up 2 pans? That's so unnecessary. Right now I'm a little sour on this palette and I'm feeling a waste of money. My wallet is angry at me. This time I'm going into Becky. Let's see how Becky works. Becky. This is actually a Nebula concealer brush, but it's a good crease brush, and I primed my eyes a little differently this time. I used concealer rather than the Urban Decay primer potion because you never know, sometimes shadows just don't agree with whatever primer you were using, so we'll see what we can do, see how we can make it work. Becky is definitely a very, very vibrant shade, but will she perform? Time will tell. I'm gonna try to blend the edge of that with a small blending brush. This is a BH number 7. This shade is doing the same thing as the last one, even though I primed it differently, and even though I was super cautious about how I applied it. So, like why is it 3 shades lighter in the middle than it is at the edge? Like, what is that? Why is it doing that? That's so weird. Like, I mean, it looks cool if I was doing an art project, but that's not how I want my eyeshadow to look. So far, this is a hard yikes. Oof, oh my God. I wiped that off and I reprimed again, and I am going to try attempt number 3. I'm gonna go back into Heather because although it did kind of read a little bit more gray, it did at least work as a crease color, so I'm going to put that back down again. I am just using a little shader brush to do that. I really want to see how these shimmers perform, so I'm gonna go start working on my actual lid area since we haven't gotten past like the crease shade portion yet. And I'm going to begin by going into the shade Miranda because that's one of the more interesting greeny tones in here, a little different than the rest of them. And I'm picking that up on a pencil brush and I'm going to try it dry first, and if we need to wet it, we need to wet it. I'm putting that on the inner portion of my lid. So far that actually looks fine, and I am not wetting it, I'm just putting it on dry, so happy with the payoff. Thinking the shimmers might be a little bit better in this palette than the mattes are, for sure. On a different pencil brush, I'm gonna go into the shade Blair. I'm gonna pack that on the outer portion of the eye. I'm gonna go into the shade Vivian on a Sigma E36 brush. This looks very soft. I'm getting a lot of kickback, so hopefully it's okay on the eye. Let's run that through the crease area and see if we could use that shade to blend these two colors into the crease and get a nice look out of it. I feel like I'm getting nothing. I feel like nothing is happening. What is happening right now? I'm gonna switch to beige number 7 and see if I get a better result with that brush. Just gonna pack it down first. Am I losing my mind? Okay, I was very gentle about it and I was able to blend that out a little bit. So I'm going to grab a clean blending brush and see if I can get an even blend on the outer portion so that we can like actually salvage this and make it into a look. We are going to make this a look. We're gonna do it. I can do it. That's a really large amount of fallout. Like, I don't really mind fallout. It doesn't really usually sway my opinion on whether I like a palette or not, but like that's like a lot. I'm gonna go back into the pencil brush that I used earlier, and I'm gonna go into the shade Cheryl over here, and I'm gonna pick that up and I'm gonna use that to blend the green and the blue on the lid together, make that a little bit more even and soft and blendy, because we kind of have like a little two-tone eye going on right now, and that's not what I'm trying to do. The fallout situation is fairly dire, so I am going to go and clean up underneath my eyes. I'm going to do the other eye to match this one. I think this combination worked out fairly well. I think we can make this work. I feel like we've got a look going. We're gonna go with it. I'm gonna run with it. I'm gonna reconceal underneath my eyes, and we're gonna do something to the bottom, and it's gonna work, and it's gonna look good, okay? It's gonna look good. Okay, for the lower lash line, I'm going to go back into Miranda again. I'm going to take it on a fairly chunky brush for the lower lash line because I want to just kind of see if I can make this impactful. It doesn't really matter. It must be blended. It's going to be really subtle, but I wanted to kind of see if I could get like a nice, soft, blown out look with this after all this struggle. I'm going to go back into the shade Becky because I want to see if I can get this color to work in a smaller area. And the reason I'm doing this is apparently because I'm a masochist, but also because I feel like those two colors are like what make this palette interesting. And so if they don't work at all, then we really need to know. So I'm gonna give it one more try on a smaller area. I'm packing that in with a small shading brush just along the lower lash line, and then I'm going to blend it out into the top. With a clean blending brush, I'm just gonna so gently, just so gently blend the edge of that out and bring it up to meet the top. Just so gentle. It is really, really easy to blend away still. I feel like I lost like 87% of the color as I blended it, but at least it's not super patchy. All right, I'm gonna finish this eye off with some lashes, obviously make the other eye match it, and add a little bit of pencil in my waterline. We are going to carry on because we still need to try the highlight shade in this palette. So I'm gonna finish up the rest of my face basically, and then we'll move on to that. For my waterline, I layered the Urban Decay Game of Thrones pencil. So I put down the Night King and then I put a little bit of Winterfell Snow on the top. I realized there's only one shade in this palette that I haven't used. So I thought that I would use it just to say that we use everything in this palette and give it all a fair chance. So I'm gonna pick up a pencil brush and I'm gonna use the shade Veronica, which is the matte white shade right here. And I'm just gonna use that as an inner corner highlight because you know what? Why not? Wow, that's actually real pigmented. That white is actually really, really, really pigmented, but it blends away very, very easily. So while it does give a nice brightened white effect, if you're going to use that shade, I highly, highly suggest being very, very careful with how much you blend it out. So pack it on and then like literally just like tickle the edges of it with a brush, just like barely even putting your brush down onto your skin to do it, because even just doing that to show you guys, I feel like I lost some of the pigment. But it does have nice even coverage and it definitely is like a very bright pigmented white. It's just a little bit fickle. It does look nice though. Okay, now I'm actually done with the palette. I'm gonna go throw on some lashes and mascara and we'll be right back. I just tried the highlighter and I wasn't recording the whole time. So I'm just gonna go ahead and add more and show you guys like the live way that it applies. The highlighter is called Regina. I was expecting something that's like a little bit more like of a blue tone, but this is almost like a champagne-y pink tone. And of everything in this palette, I actually think so far, this is my favorite thing. Like it's so vibrant and pretty, but I do notice that it is very like on the whitish side. So on pretty much anybody who is tanner than me or deeper than that, I think it is going to look chalky. I'm just kind of dabbing my blush back in over it because I put so much on right now because I did this twice. But if you are around my skin tone or even lighter, I think this is a really good highlight. Like I look so highlighted right now and it wasn't like difficult to get there. Like it was like boom, 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 right away. Very, very bright highlight. I was kind of hoping they would take a step out of their box a little bit more and do like a blue toned-ish highlight, but at the same time, I'm kind of also a little bit sick of those, so I'm glad that it's more of like a pink champagne. And technically speaking, in makeup, pink is still cool toned, so we're still in the right family. Like my nose highlight is like very intense. For those of you who hate my nose highlight, you're gonna be angry today. But for those of you who like nose highlight, you're gonna be very pleased. Now, I do want to give this look a fair shot and finish it off because honestly, I really like the way this eye look turned out. Once I got that dark blue shade Vivian to kind of blend out better with that BH number 7 brush, it blended really nicely. It gave a really nice effect and the shimmer shades look really good on the lid. It's just those brights that were in there that just, that shit doesn't work, man. Those don't. But it still wasn't ideal, it was just workable down there. But since we did get a look that we actually like out of this palette, I'm going to finish the whole thing off with a lip, and I'm gonna wear a simple lip. I know I said at the beginning that I wanted to do like a light green sort of a thing, and then add a brown lip, but clearly we have abandoned all of the plans that I started with here. So I'm just gonna go with my go-to lip combination right now, which I already did in my last video, which was the Game of Thrones video. If you haven't seen my Game of Thrones Urban Decay video and you wanna watch it, you can click right up here to do that. But I'm gonna use the Kat Von D lip liner in D minor. And then the Urban Decay Game of Thrones collection lipstick. This is the shade Sansa Stark. It is a sheer lipstick, which is usually not my thing, but just something about this color with a liner and like the shiny but not glossy finish and the color, like everything just comes together to be so flattering in my opinion. I've been wearing it in like real life since like the last 4 days, like since I filmed that video. So I'm gonna wear it again because I'm a creature of habit. And that is the finished look for today. All things considered, I actually really like it. Okay, so obviously this did not go as planned, but I don't think that my experience with this palette was entirely negative because I did end up with a look that I actually like. But at the end of the day, does that mean that I think this palette is worth your time? No, I don't think so. I don't think it is. Honestly, I think there are so many palettes out there that have shades like this already that are better than this. I do really truly believe that Becky and Georgina, which are the two brightest shades in this palette, are really what makes it appealing and makes it outside of the box for Tarte. And at least for me, obviously I can't speak for anybody else. I don't know what anybody else's experience has been with this yet. I haven't even watched anyone else's review of this yet, but for me, they were completely unworkable unless I was using them in a very small space underneath my eye. That was the only place where I was able to get them to work. And even then I had to be very, very cautious because blending even the tiniest bit over them made them completely wipe away. To be honest, all of the matte shades were super easy to overblend. But Georgina and Becky were the ones that were very, 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 very difficult. And like, when I say very, very difficult, I mean like you guys only saw like maybe 1/3 of me trying them because I kept going off camera and trying to figure out ways to make them work. And like literally each way looked worse than the last. Everything else in the palette was okay, but in my opinion, the overall experience is not worth it. The one thing I do think is really nice is the highlight shade, but like, but is that enough to make this worth it? No, I don't think so. I think there are other highlights out there that you can get this exact effect with, and it's, you know, you don't have to buy all of this other stuff in conjunction with it that probably isn't worth it, you know what I mean? So everything else about this palette aside, whether you wish they had done the layout of the original April Fool's joke, whether you think they copied this palette from Jeffree Star, all of that on the back burner. If you're just taking this at face value for what it is, I don't think this palette is worth it, and I'm probably going to go ahead and return it. Like I mentioned earlier, I do commend Tarte for taking a step outside of the box and trying to give people more color and stuff, knowing that that's what consumers want to see right now. So I think it's great that they're trying to do that. I also picked up the High Tides and Good Vibes palette. Hold on, it's right down here. I also picked up the High Tides and Good Vibes palette. Because Tarte has been making their releases a little bit more exciting lately, I have actually gone and bought quite a few of them because I thought they would be fun to play with on this channel. And initially, I had purchased the High Tides and Good Vibes palette, and then when the Icy Betch palette came out, I was like, you know what? Let me use that one instead. I think that will make for a better video. And I was going to return High Tides and Good Vibes because I didn't think it was worth it to do both of those. I also picked up the Found Sealer, which I haven't tried yet, and the Gleam Beam Shimmer Spray, which is so glittery in here. I'm dying to try these. But as far as the palettes are concerned, now that I don't think that I really like the Icy Betch palette, I'm thinking that maybe I will do a video on this one and see if we can get 3 looks out of it. If you are interested in that, please let me know so I don't return it. I haven't opened it at all yet. Leave me comments down below and let me know if you want to see that. And if not, we could just skip it and this will go right back to Tarte. But if you guys want to see it, I'll be happy to do a video on it. So let me know in a comment down below, and also let me know if you want to see anything about the Found Sealer and also about the glittery setting spray. Let me know and I will test everything. Oh, I'm just a testing ass bitch. Also, please leave me a comment down below. Let me know if you picked up the Icy Betch palette. If you did, what did you think? Did you have the same issues with the bright shades that I did? I would love to know your experience because sometimes I do these things and when something doesn't work like that much, I'm like, what, am I losing my mind? Is it just me? Have I completely lost my ability to do makeup? Like, I really feel like I'm losing it sometimes. So leave me a comment down below, let me know. Please don't forget to leave a like on this video if you found it helpful in any way. Hopefully this wasn't just a total bummer because for the most part, things didn't work out so great in this video. But, I mean, I do like this look, so if you have this palette, at least you got one look that you can recreate with it. If you are new here, please don't forget to subscribe because I would love to have you for more videos. Usually I try to do multiple looks with a palette, except in cases like this where things just don't go as planned. If you want to keep up with me between videos, I'm at Miss Queenface pretty much anywhere you could ever possibly want to find me, but most of the time I'm over on Instagram. I usually post more of my creative looks over there. I post close-ups of the makeup that we do here, and I run polls and all sorts of stuff on my stories to see like what you guys want to see here on YouTube. So that is something you don't want to miss out on. Come follow me over there. I think that's all for today. Thank you so much for watching. I'll be back in a few days with another video, so I will see you in the next one.